All right, everybody. Welcome to the IGUS webinar on dry spin lead screws in automotive. I will give it another minute before Nick and Sebastian start, but I'll take this second just to introduce myself. My name is Matt Mowry. I'm the Dryland Linear Bearing Product Manager from North America, and that includes our systems of lead screws. And today we have Nick Isabella, who is the product specialist for that product line in North America, as well as Sebastian Blokel, who is the automotive manager for IGUS Incorporated here.
Thank you so much, Matt, for the introduction. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Today, it will be everything around dry spin and automotive. And yeah, I'm pretty optimistic we will have some great benefits for you, talking about weight reduction, eliminating grease, and many more. And yeah, let's take a short look into the agenda. Shortly, we will discuss a little bit about IGUS and what are our special products from our side. Then we will move over to what is dry spin and really see what this is for an efficient system we have here. For sure, we will talk a lot about applications, what kind of applications we have in automotive with this particular product. And then we will have a lot of great options for you to have really short lead times, really fast sample opportunities. Speaking of samples, stay tuned. At the end of the seminar, we will also have a lot of great free samples for you. And yeah, happy to show them for you. For sure, also Q&A time after the seminar, but also feel free to put some questions in the chat. We have the team available who can already answer them during the seminar as well. So thank you once again. And let's talk a little bit about IGUS. And one of the slogans we have is like motion plastics, and that kind of describes everything what we do as a company. So we really take care with our products in areas emotion is happening. And this is exactly when you can think about IGUS. And this we are doing since 1964. You can see our founder here, Mr. Günther Blase and his wife, Margret Blase, and they founded it actually in their private garage, invested into an injection molding machine, worked out the first particular part you can see here we ever developed for IGUS. And yeah, what did we achieve with this? We exchanged a product, a metal part from a company in a machine with this injection molded plastic part, and we achieved a longer lifetime in the application and also reduced the cost. And that's exactly what we still follow. One other slogan we have is tech up, like technology improvement and cost down. Over time, we went into the red brick building here, and nowadays this is our headquarter in Germany, in Cologne, and our really great factory also in Rhode Island, the US. Also during the time, we developed many more products, and now we have a lot of stuff available coming from energy chains over to cables, a lot of different plain bearings, sleeve, flange, spherical bearings, as you can see here, but also linear bearings. We have many gear options nowadays. We have rollers available, ball bearings, and a lot of 3D printing stuff we will show you later, especially when we talk about fast samples and yeah, options to start projects with. And today we will focus a lot on this dry spin product we offer here. What is special for all the parts we do and all the products is the material, and that is what IGUS develops on its own. So we have engineers who are developing these engineered plastics and high performance plastics for motion applications. And what we do is we use a base polymer from the market, then really reinforcing them, like making them stronger with fibers, with fillers, to have an answer for every application with our different iGlide materials, you know, from our catalog. And last but not least, one of the best ingredients we have are the solid lubricants. So with this, our parts will be self-lubricating. They have a very low wear rate and a very low coefficient of friction, just to name a couple of benefits. For more of the benefits we have, we will come back later when we talk about applications. And speaking of wear rate, speaking of lifetime, etc., for sure, we need to test. And that's what we do. So we not really only calculate something, we test them in the laboratory. So we take the products we have the different materials, different load, different different parameters per application for the test in combination with linear motion, oscillating, rotating motion. And you can see it here in the laboratory. Around 16,000 tests per year, motion tests, where we take the results, put them in our online tools, and you can just come on our website, visit our website, and you can calculate the lifetime, choose the right material, and for sure, we will do this also together with you. And now, that being said about IGUS, what is DrySpin, Nick? Over to you.
Yeah, Sebastian, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for coming today. And like Sebastian says, what is DrySpin? So DrySpin is a patented thread geometry that IGUS created. We took the best portions of standard Acme and trapezoidal thread patterns, mainly being the fact that lead screws are used for power transmission. And we took some of the most vulnerable portions of what a lead screw does. Being a sliding mechanism, lead screws are prone to have higher amounts of noise in the application. Also, because it has a sliding component, the nut is a pretty big wear item. So we wanted to optimize these and help eliminate some of these problems. So we took the thread profile, we rounded off the crest of the thread. This helps reduce noise and vibration in the application. And by reducing vibration, you're also eliminating some of the heat buildup in the material. And this also helps extend the lifetime of the polymer. Now, one of the things that we also did in doing this rounding off of the teeth profile is flattening the angle of the thread. Lead screws are all about efficiency, so converting the torque and power of a motor into linear motion. And basically, our lead screws, if you were to take a similar thread profile, compare it to a competitor thread profile, it would be slightly more efficient, thus requiring slightly less torque than a similar thread profile elsewhere. And by doing that, we also went away from a standard symmetrical thread profile and moved to what we call an asymmetrical thread profile. So by flattening the angle of the thread, we're actually allowing for close to 30% more material for the nut to be actually more wear surface. So that also helps increase the lifetime of the nut as well. Now, all of our DrySpin lead screws are standard in 304 stainless steel. That provides the best coefficient of friction when paired with our polymers that we created. And you can see here, this is our test lab. This is data that we did. It's two different comparisons, an efficiency test and also a lifetime test compared against two competitors. You can see that we use roughly a 200 Newton load. We had a speed of 100 RPM. It was apples to apples. So it was all lead screws that had the same thread pattern. So for example, in this case, all three lead screws were 10 millimeter diameter with a 25 millimeter lead. And all the screws were uncoated. So we would be on even playing field for coefficient of friction. And you can see that we had the lowest wear rate. And also we had the best efficiency rating for the lead screw. Now getting more into the materials that IGUS has to offer. When it comes to our catalog, it's quite vast in terms of materials that IGUS has created. Our engineered polymers are used for many different types of applications. Specifically for linear applications, however, and lead screws specifically, we have several different materials that are standard in our catalog. So you can see here off to the right, we have iGlide J. iGlide J is our I would say more or less our most commonly used material for lead screw nuts. They work, it works mainly in about 80 to 90% of applications. And then for more specialized applications, we have different types of materials. So for example, under the hood in a car, we actually have a high temperature material, J350. iGlide R is also known as another material that has low moisture absorption. It also is slightly vibration dampening. So in areas where you might see a little more vibration in the car, this could be something to help eliminate noise. And then we have particular materials that pair really well with anodized aluminum lead screws for lighter weight applications. J200 with an aluminum lead screw provides hands down the best wear rate from any other combination of screw and nut material that IGUS has to offer. So for high duty cycle applications, this would be something that would be desirable for an application. And not standard in our catalog in terms of publishing, but we also have new materials that we've created specifically for interior applications in the automotive industry that are meant to be low fogging. So we want outgassing to be at a minimum for those materials in the interior. And now we can move back over to Sebastian to talk about where we might find some lead screws in applications for the automotive industry.
Thank you, Nick. And yeah, since it's like such an efficient product, honestly, it's we can find it nearly everywhere. So we start a little bit inside of the interior applications in automotive. So one very typical example for this product, you can find it in the seat lens adjustment, so driving it back and forth, which is nowadays like very common to have it automatically inside of the vehicles for sure. Another serial production part we are already selling into is the rear seat adjustment. You can find the orange part here for adjusting the backrest of the second row. And then for sure also in the steering height adjustment, you can find our lead screw mechanisms. But yeah, since the car's getting more and more motion areas, even for the armrest, it's very typical you have a kind of a motion area, or you will even have a center console in the larger vehicles where you can really move the center console back and forth between the first and the second row, having a fridge inside or something else even, and then you can use our dry spin system based on the efficiency we have. And this picture shows or summarizes a lot of interior applications or even exterior applications for sure. So an actuator. So if you have a linear actuator where you can see the spindle here next to the DC motor, the dry spin is like based on the efficiency what Nick presented to us, one of a very strong tool for that and a strong product, and especially because of the self-lubricating material we have, we don't need any greasing, so you will have the same performance over the lifetime, which is also very important. For sure, just to name it here, inside of actuators, you can find all our sliding bearings, you can find our gears, like a lot of more IGUS products inside of all these applications are possible as well. So already mentioned some benefits. So here you can see some key benefits for sure. The self-lubricating of the material is a big factor, but the NVH inside of cars, like in the interior, the passenger portion of the vehicle is so silent, becoming even more silent if we talk about battery vehicles, electrical vehicles. So you don't want to hear any real noise from the application side inside of the seat or the steering wheel or all the others. So this is where dry spin is playing its benefits. And yeah, for sure, also lightweight. It's much lighter weight than a metal part for the nut, at least, because the spindle for sure is the same. But the saving weight is another big factor for sure, also for nuts and all these common products. Going over to the exterior side, and here you can find, for example, our dry spin in the front spoiler system. You can see it here. So driving the front spoiler up and down, depending on the road, depending on the driving speed you have with the vehicle. So many vehicles have them nowadays, and yeah, already running in serial supply in millions of parts actually with our dry spin. And the main thing was definitely self-lubricating, but also the efficiency level of the spindle nut combination from us. For sure, we can find them also in the parking brake actuators, as you can see here, or for sure, running boards are possible. Definitely different versions. This one is more related also to a bus system, but yeah, you can see the dry spin spindle here. Another key application is also the tailgate actuator. So this is also a very famous application nowadays, pressing one button and the tailgate is opening. So here you can see also our dry spin spindles as well. In the roof systems, as we see it here, or in all kind of brake boosters, also here in orange, you can see our spindles. So we always try to say motion plastic, so you can kind of nearly think about IGUS for dry spin in linear applications. And here we can see the key benefits for the exterior side. And for sure, it's also the resistancy against dust and dirt. If we think about this spoiler application, for example, you will have splashes of water. It can be in contact with dust and dirt, depending especially on some areas. It's much more the chance to get it inside. And then because it's self-lubricating, you don't need wet greasing, no external greasing. This is a perfect area for using our materials. For sure, corrosion-free is a big point for the nut because it's out of plastic. And what I mentioned before, the water splashes or salt spray test, this is the areas where we are at home, let me say, with our products. All right. That being said about the applications, over to you, Nick. What kind of options do we have to start a project?
Thanks, Sebastian. So to get a project started, we have several different online tools that I highly recommend when working with engineers to take a look at. These are really great springboards to get your application started. Figure out what particular lead screw might be best when balancing the amount of life cycles versus costs that you can get from particular lead screws from IGUS. So first and foremost, typically I will steer people to take a look at our product finder, better known as our expert system. And this is basically a lifetime calculator, but it is a bit more than that. You can see here just some cutouts from the online tool. You can configure a application based on particular lead screw nuts that we have to offer. So you can actually change the part that's being used to see how the lifetime will vary compared to a cylindrical machined nut or a molded nut and see what the difference in lifetime might be based on cost, things like that. So you can weigh your options with our whole catalog of standard parts. And then once you move through the application, selecting what particular lead screw nut you'd like to evaluate, you're going to put in a few data points of information about your application. Personally, I think this tool is probably one of the easiest to use when it comes to all of the tools that IGUS has to offer. You only have to put in 4 data points: the load, the speed, the duty cycle, and the stroke of the application. So as long as you have all of that, you can kind of move forward and find an option for your application. Now you can see here, once you move through to the end, you plug all your data in, you're going to have a long range of products to choose from. Now you can refine this. If you know what lead screw you might want to look at and evaluate from the beginning, you can select a specific thread profile and see how long that will last. Or if you don't know where to look yet, you can leave everything as an option. So you can see here, this is a very long list. This basically will spit out how many life cycles the lead screw nut will last for, what the torque is to drive the load, which is a very important data point, because if you're using a motor, this helps you spec in the lead screw based on the torque curve of the motor that you have. And then it also gives you a 2D file of the lead screw nut, so you can see the basic dimensions of the part. And same thing for the screw, some technical data with that. So you get a whole bunch of pertinent information in one convenient place. Moving on to the next tool that we have, and this is by far my favorite tool that IGUS has to offer, it's the configurator. So once you have a lead screw picked out and you know where you want to go with your application from a design standpoint, now you can move into actually customizing that lead screw to fit your application. So for example, say you need to add a journal to your lead screw to work with a coupling that has a D flat in it. You can add that to the screw directly through this online tool. This tool will give you a price anywhere from 1 to 49 pieces, and that will come directly from the tool. You don't have to talk to anybody for this. You can request a formal quote directly through this tool as well. And then anything over that 49 pieces, it triggers me to get involved, and then I would price that out for you, anything over that 49 pieces. Now with this online tool, it takes about 5 minutes to use. You can add a whole slew of different machining options to your lead screws: flats, keyways, feather key grooves. You can add thread to the journal of the screw. So if you have a direct drive motor, you can add that thread profile to the journal to screw directly into your motor. And the cost keeps changing based on that, those additional machining options that you add in. Now, after all that is done, once you're set with what you're configuring, you can download a 2D print, and it's a detailed print. It gives you a specialized print number, and then once you put it into the shopping cart, it will then generate a special ordering part number that saves your part into the profile of IGUS's ERP system. So everything is automated. Once you place an order, everything is already set up in the background, and it's very seamless to get the order started for your part. Now a little more discussion about some of our catalog options that we have to offer for our lead screw nuts. Like I mentioned before, we have several different catalog materials that we publish. So we have thousands of different lead screw nuts that we can ship from stock in 24 to 48 hours or less. I think everybody knows throughout COVID, many different companies have had supply chain struggles. What we're aiming to do, especially this year and moving forward, is holding more parts in stock. That way we can get these to you quickly to start your project. So taking advantage of these catalog options to get your project started for prototypes is a great way to get your project going and get it going quickly. Also, we have the ability, another online tool that we have, to create SLS, laser sintered 3D printed parts. This online tool is great, has a drag and drop feature, so you can take your step file, STL, many different types of file formats. You can drag that and drop it right into the online tool, and it will basically spit out a price to you in a lead time. Because we have a live print lab in the US where we have 2 different printers, we're basically able to provide a lead time anywhere for 2 to 5 days. So you can get an SLS printed part that not only will work in terms of form and fit, but you can get a little bit of function out of these parts as well. The standard nut material that we typically recommend to print parts in is called i3. This is pretty similar to our iGlide J material. So you can actually use this for some initial testing, and you can get a baseline and understanding that, yes, it's not the actual material that you would be using in production, but you can get an initial look at our material and see if it would be working in your application. We do have the ability to print all different types of parts. And the best part about this tool is the fact that everything is based on the weight. So it doesn't matter how complicated the part is, it just matters with the weight. So as long as the part is light, it's going to be cheap. If it's a larger part, and it's going to be a little more expensive in the online tool. But this is a really great feature, and it helps reduce on time, lead time, and costs compared to machined parts. Now, we do have the ability to provide all of our parts being machined from bar stock and other semi-finished materials. And I do want to note that if your company does have locations outside the US that they would be sourcing parts from, we do have print labs located in Germany and China as well. Now, as you continue on with your project, again, those 3D printed parts are great to get your project started. Once you do settle in on a design and you're more more willing to start placing orders for some more production ready parts closer to production quality, we can machine these parts from our semi-finished products. So we have just about the majority of our materials that we make in extruded bar stock, up to 100 millimeters in diameter, so we can make a wide range of parts. So for example, you can see this lead screw nut over here to the right. This is for a 50 millimeter diameter lead screw with a metal custom made adapter for an extremely high load application. So we have the ability to make a large variety of lead screw nuts from our semi-finished products, as well as tube stock to get past that 100 millimeter OD. And then we also have plate stock. Now, the benefits to machining parts from our semi-finished products are the fact that you're going to get a part that has better tolerances, more closely to what would represent a production part compared to those 3D printed parts. And you can still get a pretty fast lead time from these as well. Typically, we're around 6 weeks for parts that are machined from bar stock. And last but not least would be our world famous injection molding capabilities. In the last few years, we've really spent a lot of time investing in infrastructure for molding lead screw nuts. So building up a repertoire of some standard catalog parts that you can get from stock, but also the fact that we have a tooling department ready to go to create a tool for your project. So if you need a custom made nut, something from our catalog isn't going to fit into your application, we can make a tool for you that would be staying in IGUS. It would be maintained by IGUS for your project. And one of the things that we also do, it's an added benefit, is the fact that our tooling team works to optimize the designs that you've created to make them more moldable. So you can see here as an example, this was quite a large lead screw nut that the customer had to work with. It was one solid part other than the OD for the thread. Our tooling department came up with a way to optimize this for molding by adding these cutout features, which also helped optimize the part in terms of a loading capacity. So this part is being used for an extremely high load. Adding these cutout features actually strengthened the part rather than it being one solid part. So our tooling department is a value added to the process as well. And one of the things that we've really improved upon in the last 2 years, I would say, is our ability to not only mold the blank, but also mold the thread in the nut during the process of molding. So this helps increase the production time, cutting down on lead time even more than once you would normally mold a blank and then tap the thread in. So now we can actually mold the nut and the thread all at once. And this also helped further scale the cost down as production volumes increase. And now back over to Sebastian to talk about quality.
Thank you, Nick. Like 3D printing machined options, like very, very great ways to start into projects with special designs, custom-made products for your individual applications if the catalog doesn't fit inside of it. So very, very nice. For automotive, for sure, quality management is key and is one of the biggest requirements we have to fulfill, and you need a partner you can trust. You want to have a partner for a long-term relationship, and that's what we want to be for you. So for sure we are certified by ISO 9001. We have the IATF 16949, but also environment stuff like ISO 14001. Additionally to that, we have for our materials, like for sure fogging tests, burning rate certificates, REACH, GADSL, we do IMDS for you. So all of that is based for the quality, but also additionally, we do an optical control check for the parts. You can see kind of our system here. It's an optical control visual check by camera systems up and down and from the side, and the parts going over a plate being checked, controlled by cameras, and only pushed out to the back immediately for you if they are okay. And this is also another big tool to give you 100% control checked parts. Also, I think similar to the 3D printing, what Nick showed, we want to have global standards and we want to give you a great partnership around the world. And we have 35 subsidiaries you can find in different countries around the world, and USA for sure, Poland, Italy, Taiwan, China, and many, many more. And also additionally, we have 55 partners in other countries. So yeah, we want to give you the best possible service support, working with the same company, talking about global projects, especially also in automotive. This is a very common thing, and usually the customers really, really are happy with it, so that they can talk to IGUS in China, they can talk to IGUS in the US for the same projects. I mentioned it in the beginning, for sure, please feel free to reach out. We have a lot of great free samples, starting with a brochure, a lot of dry spin information inside, showing much more information also on the application side, on the efficiency, what Nick presented. Then we have one of the perfect samples to give you an idea how efficient the system is. So this nut spindle combination, it will move in a couple of seconds completely out of without any external greasing. So this is a very great sample to give over to you to see how this product is really working in reality. We also have a great thermocup, especially in the winter times. This could be nice, but before you fill in your coffee or your tea, before that you can put out the samples we will have in there. For example, this sample sleeve is also in the cup, and many more related actuator samples like sliding bearings, gears, etc. are in there. So if you want to have such a sample, just let us know. For sure, we have a lot of boxes like the automotive box with many more parts inside. We have an Acme box with another lead screw example. Or even we can set up a corner for you. We call it a sample corner, so you can see this part here. We can place it in your factory, in your engineering offices. We can put all the samples we have and are related to your applications inside. We will refill it for sure over time to keep it always fresh, always full of ideas for starting new projects together with us. And yeah, again, just let us know and we will be happy to give you samples at any time. And yeah, that being said, thank you very much again for joining. I hope it was interesting. I hope some information are valuable for you. And just let us know if you have questions, projects, suggestions, any application you want to talk about. For sure, we are happy to have visits on site. We are happy to have virtual support. Also, virtual visits are possible. We have a great trade show, exhibition space. We can do a virtual tour with you. We can have lunch and learns. And yeah, if maybe colleagues of yours didn't have chance to join this seminar, for sure we want to do and can do this for you. Not important how many people are available. We are always happy to present you something about IGUS and our products. So just let us know. And yeah, also for sure a lot of content on YouTube on our homepage. We have a great blog with a lot of information in the Engineer's Toolbox. And again, thank you very much. And over to you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate it.